Yes, there seem to be some increased sentiments coming back into the stock market. We are seeing a little bit of foreigners coming back, but we shall be unpacking those numbers shortly with our market watcher for the day. Before then, let's have a look at the currency, whereby we saw the Kenyan shilling, Kenyan banks quoting the shilling at 85, 86, 85 to the dollar on Thursday, and that was a 0.2 drop. And this was compared to Wednesday's close of 85, 50, 70, and this was on the back of a wider sell-off that we're seeing in the emerging markets. Now, crossing over to the Nairobi Securities Exchange, we saw the main share index edging up 8.2 points to sit at 4,713.39 points, and this was the second day in a row that it was rising. The all share index, on the other hand, went up by half a percentage point to 120.33 points. With us in studio, we have William Othiambo. He's a managing consultant for Elime Consulting. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, we seem to see foreign investors coming back into the market, and but on the global front, we have a lot of sell-off in the emerging markets. For you, do you see the risk aversion is reducing in the global market, hence feeding into the local market?
Yes, indeed. The foreign investors made their entry back into the market significantly this week, and we hope to see that continuing. I would attribute it probably to the increased interest in the African markets globally, because it is seen as the next big thing. And Nairobi Stock Exchange itself has done pretty well for itself in the last 1 or 2 years. So notwithstanding the political upheavals of the early months of the year, I think this is a trend that we're likely to continue seeing.
July is considered to be a very quiet month, June, and now we are going into July, into the second half. Do you see like we are likely to have some spark activity in the stock market?
Indeed we will. Partly because the media results will be coming out next month and the month after that, and partly because at the beginning of the second half, most investors would like to review their standing in the market and relook into some counters that maybe they did not consider initially. And so they would want to. There will be a lot of activity as that shift happens in readiness for the activities of the second half.
For you, which stock are you currently eyeing?
I'm eyeing the banking stocks, and like I was telling someone, they always give you value. Beyond that, also you would see a lot of interest in the energy market, and so although Kenol Kobil has not been a darling for me in the past few weeks, but I would want to dwell in the energy sector for a longer while.
Why Kenol Kobil?
Kenol Kobil has had its own woes in the local market and in the regional market. That effectively in the midterm would affect its strength in my view. So I would want to look at something like Shell or something like Total, which is more attractive, at least in the short term to the midterm.
Okay, you talked about banks, and saying on that queue, we saw some information coming in yesterday from the Treasury that they're proposing to amend a law that will require all banks that are that have subsidiaries in other countries to actually show up there to raise additional capital. How do you see this affecting banks? Because you have most of the banks in Kenya actually have presence in the regional market. You're talking of Equity Bank, you're talking of Kenya Commercial Bank, you're talking of NIC, we have Diamond Trust Bank. There are quite a number that are in the regional market. How do you see this information affecting the operations?
I mean, in the short run, very minimally, because I'm sure the Treasury would want to give them time to adjust. In the meantime, however, I am looking at a lot of rights issues, looking at a lot of call for investors, probably internationally, to come in and give in some extra money. Beyond that, I don't think that any of them will fail to raise their capital to the threshold established by the government, because they are adequately capitalized as we are even right now.
Of course, in line with the Basel III regulations. But looking at maybe from a customer perspective, how then will some of these customers probably be affected by some of these costs, and also from the bank's operational point of view?
Well, there will be very minimal change. Although that might require that more deposit is attracted by the bank. So it will just mean aggressive sales. But in terms of costing, I don't see it affecting the cost of doing business for the customer, or affecting the pricing for the customer, or affecting operations and stopping them from operating in the region. Because mostly it's a backdoor administrative issue that if they handle proper with their investors, then there should be no interruption with business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Staying on the other section that you mentioned, energy, which you said was also something you're looking at.
Yeah.
Yesterday we saw some also news coming in. Carmack Energy will be investing about 3 billion shillings into the oil and gas in the Kenyan coast.
Indeed.
And we've seen a lot of interest in this sector, though we have not yet had any commerciality of either.
Right.
But we have seen a lot of interest. For you, how then, what are the sentiments that you're drawing from all these investors coming in, and how does it trickle down?
Well, business has a lot of psychology in it. And the truth of the matter is, as of yet, we do not have commercial oil. But there's talk of it, and rumors can really drive the market sometimes. And that talk of it will attract investment. Carmack has come in with around 3 billion shillings into the market to just explore.
$3 billion.
It's actually shillings, I think.
Okay.
Which they are going into Lamu to just look into the possibility of getting some extra, some commercial viability of
Yes.
oil. And that will, in the long run, affect the economy positively, hopefully. And not just Coman. Tulo has been here for a while, and we expect to see more. So the talk of oil has a way of attracting the big sharks. And when the big sharks come, even if they don't bring too much, at least a little oil.
What's